The majority of private schools, i.e., public schools, or all of them, in fact, I think, are usually registered charities, and for this reason, they don't have to pay tax on their income. So, yeah, like they have registered charity status, and they sort of justify their charitable status, or it's kind of like been grandfathered into the traditions associated with most private schools, I think, and they get around taxation by usually taking kids from the army or the armed forces, like officers' children in the army, right? And say, oh, it's like a charitable thing. Mm. And say, oh well, we offer scholarships and bursaries, to the less advantaged among us. Like, yet their school fees can be something like £20,000 a year. So even with like a scholarship and a bursary knocking off 70% of the fees, you're left with what, like 4 grand? Still to pay 6 grand to pay, like, which loads of people wouldn't be able to afford from a very poor background. So they actually are not accessible forms of education. Not really, not for most people. And they do consistently get kids better grades. So it's a terrible fact that this is allowed to persist. And the fact they get charity status, I think is just like, that's poor. That is pretty bad. Let's face it. Um, yeah, they're not. They should lose their charitable status and they should be taxed. I think like one or two private schools out there. The school Christ's Hospital springs to mind, which is a school that is committed, it seems, to honouring its status as a registered charity and providing education, or making it their business to provide education, or a high class of education to talented kids from a disadvantaged background, and they seem to be doing that. So, like, unless they're made to fit that model somehow, like 20% of the student body has to be formed of talented kids from the lowest 20% of earners, or something like that. I could perhaps get behind private schools, and or like giving out full scholarships to like the kids from those backgrounds, like armed forces kids, like frankly, officers' children, who like a lot of these people are in the army. Officers, they earn a lot of money. You don't actually need, I don't think, free education for your kids added into that. They're on like majors and or generals, so on. Like they're on like a general be on like 100K at the minimum, I think, and that uh, like pay your own fucking children's school fees, like doing over the rest of the population, like by having these places at all, like irritating entitled cunts infesting like the top universities, the Russell groups. Like, oh, no, no, we're going to go to UCL or Manchester, or like, or perversely, frankly, Oxbridge is populated by 50% public school boys and girls. And like yesteryear, the bright young things, and half of them are not all that bright, just like you know drilled into work or being able to work very hard. Like many of them may have like done something a bit sneaky with their coursework, possibly, or backhander here and there. Who knows? And yeah, and just swat it out, get in with rather a leg up, rather substantial leg up in terms of assistance and tuition and other sneaky shit. Frankly, like what I had, being obsessed with a specific learning disability or something, some bullshit, frankly, test. Get your extra time on exams. Jethro Thompson had that. He went to Cambridge. They also did tactical state school. The Thompsons. They sent him to Lavie, where like she was his mum, Christine Blythe, head of the Avon and Wiltshire Mental Health Partnership, consultant psychiatrist, she'd be earning possibly £180,000 a year. Like NHS management salaries. Daddy Thompson owns some sort of strange business, probably for money laundering her money. And yeah, they did tactical state school and like went around, shitty old laptop. Why? You can clearly afford a new one. Newer one. Why'd you have the old laptop? Your mum's got loads of money. I know this. I'm clever. And yeah, getting Bardon, Gilles Bardon, French master of Lavington, Frenchman, portly Frenchman as I understand it. And yeah, getting him to give Jeff a reference for Cambridge. So we get like the Lavington School email address on the reference, because they don't give universities like Cambridge, they don't clue them in as to where they went to school. So very sneaky, very, very sneaky indeed. Vaguely execrable, rather execrable, dreadful behavior, awful.